Our next guest, considered by many to be the greatest lacrosse player ever. He co-founded the premier Lacrosse League, which begins its 7th season this Friday up at Albany. Paul Rabil is the league's president and joins us here at Post 9. Welcome back.
Scott, thanks for having me.
Never gets old, I guess, when we call you the greatest lacrosse player of all time.
Well, I'm sure C.J. Kirsch fans will contest that. He's going to likely win the Tour-a-thon in 2 days and was our #1 draft pick. That guy's shown on screen with Cornell.
Okay, about this weekend, you're up there. Is lacrosse having its moment for the most part right now? I mean, 35,000 people in a football stadium to watch lacrosse, and then you're about to do your own thing.
Yeah, the women's Final Four set an attendance record as well. We'll see ratings come out in the next day or so through ESPN, but I'm anticipating probably 800,000 people watch with a peak of 1 million. So that's really powerful. I think the other macro trends is, well, in addition to what we've done at the PLL and college, you look at the growth of the women's game and then LA 28 having lacrosse back in for the first time in over 120 years. So we launched the WLL, I think, after the last time you and I sat down. That's performed really well. And then as we continue to build, we're looking at sites of the universal language of lacrosse being back in the Olympics.
So this is the 7th year, as we said. Are you today where you thought you would be 7 years ago?
I think, when we reflect, we would hope to be here. And as an entrepreneur on that journey, you should be really agile and create as much optionality as possible. You and I talk often about the media environment and how that's shifted, and more advertising dollars are going towards streamers than they are to the traditional cable bundle. It was the first time that's happened was last year. So as a league that's wholly owned in the team sports landscape, it is slightly different. So we're continuing to iterate and grow.
You continue to attract some pretty premium partnerships, too, partners. Lexus last week and just U.S. Bank, which you've announced today.
Yeah.
What do you think the draw is for these premium brands to your sport?
Well, Lexus and U.S. Bank now are the 12th and 13th Fortune 500 company that has now came onto the PLL and WLM partner. U.S. Bank is our official bank and our wealth management partner. They look at our audience. There's 48 million fans in the U.S. 60% of our fans have a net worth of greater than $1 million. 66% of our ticket purchasers have kids in the household. That comes from Ticketmaster, who's a landmark partner of ours. So we have families. We're younger. They're native to the streaming environment, which is all attractive to brands and networks.
What's the typical anthology of your players? Are they career guys who are going to be in your league, and the women who are in the women's league? Or are they looking for jobs on Wall Street on the side? I mean, how are you thinking about all that?
Well, I remember our first headline when we announced the PLL was Wall Street backs professional lacrosse league, because there is a trend of, if you look at a school like Cornell and Johns Hopkins and Notre Dame,
Duke, and go down the list.
You're going to have a great work-life opportunity so long as you graduate and you have a good GPA. So a psychological hurdle that we are overcoming is having our players do both. And that's sort of what NFL players did in the 60s and 70s. It wasn't too long ago where Sterling Sharp's wage in the NFL, and that was in the early 90s, was $350,000. So if you look at the increase in growth of professional sports over the last 30 years in particular, we're trying to expedite that curve and get our players full-time, living in market, and getting meaningful salaries.
What do your guys make? What do your players make a season?
We have some players making over $100,000.
You do?
Yeah. And if you look at the NWSL and the WNBA and their growth in media rights deal and sponsorship, they've taken a $35K minimum salary now and 4X'd it. When you're an emerging league, you think about things like housing and other ways to help players become more full-time. So we have a marketing division that creates marketing addendums for our players. And you really have to be holistic in the approach, and that's why we're wholly owned at that.
I mean, you said